Welcome back, football fans. Today, we dive into one of the season's most thrilling Premier League clashes, Newcastle United versus Nottingham Forest, a 7-goal thriller packed with drama, comebacks, and jaw-dropping moments. Stay tuned as we break down the action, one highlight at a time. The match kicked off with an early shocker. Newcastle's Nick Pope, returning from injury, found himself picking the ball out of the net within just 6 minutes. Hudson-Odoi pounced on a loose clearance, drove forward and unleashed a precise low shot that beat Pope at his near post. It was a dream start for Forest and a nightmare for Newcastle, immediately putting them on the back foot. The goal highlighted defensive fragility and showed Hudson-Odoi's sharpness in attack. St. James's Park fell silent, stunned by how quickly the visitors struck. The Magpies knew they had to react, and fast. It didn't take long for Newcastle to bounce back. Young Lewis Miley stepped up on his first Premier League start of the season and delivered a sensational equalizer. After persistent pressure and several attacking waves, Miley controlled the ball with a sublime first touch and slotted a left-footed shot into the far bottom corner. The 18-year-old's poise in front of the goal electrified the crowd and changed the momentum of the match. This was not just a response, it was a statement. Newcastle was back in the game and hungry for more. A future star had just made his mark. Nick Pope, after his early error, regained composure and made a critical save from Hudson-Odoi to keep Newcastle in front. Quick-thinking Pope immediately launched a counter, showing why he's so highly rated. His distribution sparked Newcastle's break, with Gordon leading the charge. That moment summed up Pope's redemption arc. Shaky at first, but solid when it mattered most. Forest had pushed forward and Pope's save denied them a crucial equalizer. In matches like this, goalkeepers are just as vital as the scorers. Pope's intervention was a game-saving moment, calming nerves and giving Newcastle the platform to push forward again. Momentum firmly shifted to Newcastle's side as they took the lead through Jacob Murphy. Isak's incredible back heel to Hall carved open Forest defense, and Hall's smart square ball was met by Murphy, who tapped it into an empty net. It was slick, fluid, and devastatingly effective football. The goal showcased Newcastle's strength in attack and the chemistry building between their young players. From being a goal down, they had now flipped the match in their favor. Forest's defense looked disorganized and vulnerable, while Newcastle's fans erupted in celebration as their team turned up the pressure. Controversy followed shortly after Newcastle's second. A handball shout saw VAR intervene, and referee Jared Gillett eventually pointed to the spot. It was a lengthy decision, but one that tilted further in Newcastle's favor. These moments define matches, and for Forest, it was a bitter pill to swallow. The penalty gave Newcastle the chance to put real daylight between them and the visitors. VAR drama may frustrate fans, but this time it handed Newcastle a golden opportunity. The energy inside St. James's Park ramped up in anticipation of what would come next. All eyes were on Isak. Up stepped Alexander Isak with the pressure of expectation on his shoulders. He executed a cheeky chipped penalty that just barely made it past Matt Sells, who got a hand to it. The ball crossed the line and the striker wheeled away in relief and triumph. That goal ended Isak's 4-game drought and put Newcastle 3-1 ahead. His audacity to chip it under pressure spoke volumes about his confidence. From trailing early to leading by 2, Newcastle were in complete control. Forest looked rattled, and the hosts were ruthless, capitalizing on every mistake with surgical precision. The floodgates had opened and Isak wasn't done yet. In what felt like a flash, he bagged his second goal with composure and sharp finishing. Willock's driving run set things in motion, slicing through Forest's midfield like butter. Isak was waiting in the box and coolly finished to make it 4-1. It was an attacking clinic from Newcastle, who completely dismantled Forest in the first half. The fans were in ecstasy, and the visitors were in shambles. It was one of the finest 45 minutes of football seen at St. James Park all season. Early in the second half, Newcastle nearly added a fifth. Fabian Schär rose high from a corner and headed the ball off the crossbar. It was a warning shot that Newcastle weren't letting up. Though they already had a comfortable lead, they kept hunting for more goals. The danger from set pieces was evident, and Forest looked helpless in defending aerial threats. This near miss only fueled the fire in the stands. Newcastle smelled blood and were playing with the swagger of a team that believed they could score at will. The fifth felt inevitable. Just when the match seemed out of reach, Forest clawed one back. A scrappy corner eventually fell to Nikola Milenkovic, who stabbed it in from close range. It was far from pretty, but Forest wasn't complaining. The goal offered a glimmer of hope and reminded Newcastle they couldn't afford to switch off. After such a dominant first half, complacency could cost them. Forest had nothing to lose, and they started pushing harder. While Newcastle still led by 2, the momentum was shifting. A few nervous glances began to appear on the faces of the home fans. And just like that, Forest's bench came alive. Coaches urged players forward, knowing momentum had flipped. Newcastle, once fluid and fearless, now hesitated under pressure. The St. James's Park faithful tried to rally their team, but the anxiety was palpable. It wasn't just a goal, it was the ignition of belief. As Forest mounted a desperate late charge, Gibbs White nearly found the equalizer with a dangerous free kick. Nick Pope flew across the goal and tipped the ball over the bar with a spectacular save. It was a highlight reel moment. Pure reflex, pure athleticism. At 4-3, every shot mattered, and this one would have forced a draw. Pope's form in the final minutes was critical to securing all 3 points. Forest threw everything forward, but the keeper stood tall. That save could go down as one of the season's most important, as it preserved Newcastle's hard-fought and nervy lead. Pope's commanding presence grew with each passing second, calming the backline and giving fans hope that they could hold on. Forest players held their heads in frustration, knowing how close they were to snatching a point. This wasn't just a save. It was a declaration. Newcastle would not go quietly. Incredibly, Forest struck again. Substitute Ryan Yates found himself in the right place at the right time to knock home a loose ball and make it 4-3. The comeback was on. Newcastle, who looked untouchable in the first half, were now reeling. Forest had found renewed energy and belief, while the hosts appeared panicked. From 4-1 to 4-3 in a matter of minutes, the game had turned into a heart-pounding finale. Forest fans roared in delight, and the atmosphere inside St. James's Park grew tense. Suddenly, what looked like a routine win turned into a battle for survival. Yates's impact was immediate and devastating. His hunger in the box epitomized Forest's never-say-die attitude. Newcastle scrambled to regain composure, but cracks were forming. Every Forest attack now carries danger. The volume from the away end surged, their chants echoing like a warning. This match was far from over. Late in the match, Callum Wilson had a chance to seal the game once and for all. Sprinting clear on the break, he opted to shoot rather than square it to Gordon. His shot was blocked, and the chance went begging. It was a moment of individual ambition that could have been a costly miss. Gordon was visibly frustrated, and fans held their breath. With Forest pressing hard, Newcastle needed to take those chances to avoid another scare. Though Wilson had the pace and power, the pass might have been the smarter choice. Fortunately, they would not be punished for it. Finally, the whistle blew and Newcastle had survived. What began as a slow and worrying start transformed into a high-octane, 7-goal thriller. The Magpies showed resilience, creativity, and grit to come from behind and win 4-3. But they also showed vulnerability, nearly letting Forest pull off a historic comeback. From Lewis Miley's heroics to Isak's clinical finishing and Pope's late saves, this match had everything. It was a roller coaster at St. James's Park, and one the fans won't soon forget. Newcastle took all 3 points, but not without drama. A classic Premier League night. Thanks for watching this epic match breakdown. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on your favorite moment from the game. What did you think of Isak's penalty or Miley's magic? Stay tuned for more thrilling football recaps and highlights right here on the channel. See you in the next one.